Today we're talking about hair density in your non-surgical hair system. And when ordering your hair system, how do you know how much you should order? Well, today, that's what we're going to tell you. Hi guys, I'm Steve Luttrell, your hair loss consultant, and welcome to my channel, The Real Deal, where I talk about your hair loss, why you've lost your hair, and is there anything you could do to get it back? Today, we're talking about hair density in your hair system. And what I mean by that is, when you go and you start to order your hair system, your wig, toupee, you have choices of hair densities. You'll see 100%, 120%, 130%, 90%, light, medium, medium, light, medium, heavy. So what does all this mean? First, you have to figure out how much hair do you naturally have, where the hair system is going to meet your own natural growth hair. Now, are you a person that is young and has thick hair and you just have alopecia areata and you're balding? Then you might need a 100% density. If you're a person that has very fine hair, don't have a lot of hair density and your hair's not thick, even when you were 14, 15, then you might need 80% density. Are you a woman that has really thick hair and you just have a little area in the back here maybe, or in the front area? So maybe you need 120%. I doubt it, but maybe. Never say never. So that's the first thing you have to determine is how much hair density you have. Because you want the system's density to equally match your hair density in your own natural scalp, because you want to make sure that there's no line of demarcation. Because if you put thick on top of thin, there's going to be a bubble. It's going to be so thick that it's going to stand out away from your hair and it's not going to lay in naturally. I understand, yes, you might want more hair, but more hair can also be wiggy, not look real. So you want to make sure that the density of the hair system matches your own growth hair, where it's going to match and come together. And especially if you go for a short haircut, because if you go for a short haircut, it's going to look like you glued something on your head. And it's not going to match. Okay? So that's the first thing that's really important is, making sure that your hair density on your own natural head matches the hair density on the hair system. The other thing we want to talk about is what happens when you order too much hair. Again, I know a lot of people, they want a lot of hair and it sounds really good and blah, but my experience is in the past, in all my years of doing hair, even when I did only growth hair and I wasn't doing hair replacement, was that people that had really thick hair, it wasn't easy to work with. It was a lot of work. And these hair systems, if they have a lot of hair in them, they're a lot of work. The more hair, the more you have to do it. And then, cutting them, there's a lot of work in cutting them. They don't move around, they don't look natural. So again, you have to really look at the situation and say, less is more. That's something I've always, less is more is I live by that, okay? Because you want to make sure that the hair is manageable when you put it on. Otherwise, it's going to be like a babushka on your head. It's just going to be this thick rug that doesn't move and has no, you can't style it because it only does one style, and especially if it comes from a factory where they've put a perm in the system and they got a wave in it, and now it just does this one thing that won't move. And you want hair that does something few different hairstyles out of it, or some flexibility, okay? When I used to do these guys and they'd come in with this thick hair, or women come in with thick hair and they wanted these hairstyles, it just wouldn't lay in nicely. I mean, there is people that have perfect hair. Screw them, right? But you want to make sure that the hair you're getting is perfect for you and is going to work for you. So, less is more. Now, if you put a lot of hair in the hair system, or if you go to a studio and they tell you, oh, you need a lot of hair because you want it to last. Well, you're not buying combat boots. You're buying hair. And hair that you want it, I would think, to look like it belongs to you and comes right out of your scalp. That's been my success is, the hair I wear and the hair that my clients have worn over the years has always been spot on. I mean, people just think that the hair systems the hair is just coming right out of the scalp. It's so real. They get right up on top of my client's head and they look at it and they go, so he individually puts each hair into your scalp? That's how real it looks. Okay, guys? And that's what you want. You want it to look like it's real. Even a person that has thick hair, a lot of people think they have a toupee on or a wig on because the hair is so thick. So we don't want that, all right? Yes, the more hair you put in, the longer it will last. Now, if you put too much hair in a thin skin, like a 0.03 poly, my personal opinion and my personal experience is that because the base is so thin and you're putting so much hair, you're really compromising that thin skin. It's like taking and poking a lot of holes into a balloon and then stretching it. The more holes that are in that balloon, the easier it's going to start breaking and pulling apart. So the same with the hair. If there's all these holes, it's not going to take much for these big chunks of hair to start just coming out because the base is not thick enough for the thick hair. So with thick hair, you're going to need thick base. With a thick base, you don't have a really great hairline. So again, less is more. Okay? Now, the downside of putting less is you don't have longevity. But do we really care about longevity as we care about look and realability? When I first started doing this, I had no experience in hair pieces. I did hair extensions. I had done women's and men's hair cutting and coloring and perming, but hair pieces, other than seeing some bad ones here and there, and even at professional hair shows, I used to think, why does that hairdresser wear that rug? But when I first started doing this, a lot of my clients already have been wearing hair for a period of time. So I interviewed them. What do you like? What don't you like? And the common denominators with every single client, every single one, not one said anything different, was. And this is when they were buying a hair system once a year, every year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, depending on the kind of hair system and the base, whether they were able to add more hair down the road to the system, which I'm totally against that. I just think when you got this hair and the hair quality is just not fantastic to start with, I don't care who it comes from. It's very processed, most of this hair, unless you're ordering virgin hair. Why do you want old hair and new hair? Because after 6 months, this hair is all kind of dry and brittle. It's a loss because it's not growing out of your scalp. It's just, so there's no nutrients going into it. It's just you're putting coatings of product on it to make it last and smooth, but the hair is just drying out, just like material or cloth or anything just dries out eventually and disintegrates. Nothing lasts forever. So of course, hair cut off somebody's head, it's not going to last forever. Okay? So the one thing that my clients always said to me was, I really like it when I'm taking it off because it finally looks like it belongs to me. Meaning, when they first put it on, there was so much hair in it that they felt like they were wearing a wig. But over the year and a half, whatever time span that they were wearing the system, that it lost hair. So finally, at the end of the system, when they were ready for a new hair system, it looked more real to them because there was less hair. Now, at this point, the reason they're getting a new hair system is, one, that the hair quality is dry and brittle, and the hair color most likely is faded out and turned some obnoxious orange red or just black because they've dyed it so many times. So it could be numerous of reasons, but at the end of the day, that was the only thing, is they would love to have kept it longer at that point, but the problem was the hair was crappy at that point. The color was bad, the texture was terrible. It was time for new hair. It was time for new hair a while ago, but it was time for new hair. And now they had to go and wear a thick hair system again because the people that were giving it to them were giving them another thick hair system to last a long time again. Okay, so less is more. Back to less is more. So when choosing a density, I personally prefer companies that give you a graduated density. In other words, a little lighter in the front edge, more realistic, and a little bit more hair as it goes back. Not a great difference, 10% difference between the front edge and the rest of the system. But again, that gives you that more realistic look. All right, again, less is more. And I do the same thing with my women or men. I don't discriminate against that front hairline because women want to wear their hair back off their forehead just as men want to. Not all women want bangs. So when it comes to ordering your hair system, it's really important that the density matches your own hair density if you're looking for real looking hair. Now, if you want a wig and you want longevity, then you can order a thicker hair system, and probably a lot of people wouldn't know you have a difference because they're not paying attention. They're so self-absorbed into their own life that they're really not looking at, does he have a wig or does he not have a wig? This is a personal thing. And but I think, like I said, from my experience and my own personal need, I need it to look real. When I go up and I look in that mirror, I want to know that that hair is dead on. So hair density, I believe, is very important to the success of you wearing hair. The majority of people out there need to stay somewhere between 75 and 100% density. Depending, again, how old you are, all these different factors. So other than your own density, another factor is, how old are you? Are you an older gentleman that's in your 50s and 60s and 70s, 80s? I have a client in his 90s. Your hair is probably not as thick as it used to be when you were in your 20s. So again, you want to make sure that, you're not, this guy that his hair looks really thick for his age. You don't want to be that guy. So again, you might need an 80% density, 85, 90% density, probably not 100, definitely not 120 if you're in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, or 80s, or 90s. Very few people, maybe one out of every 1,000 guys, or women even. Because women, as they get older, and especially if they have alopecia areata or thinning hair issues, they also have thinning sides. So again, you want everything to match. Even though that woman wants this long, wonderful, great hair, she won't after it's on her head and she's going, what do I do with all this? It's just too much. I can't handle it. Now what? I paid a lot of money for it. Now I'm stuck with it, and you can't start thinning it out with scissors because that changes the whole dynamics of the hair. You're going to end up with spiky and all these little short pieces all over the place. So that's not my suggestion. My suggestion is get it right from the start. So age plays a part in making your decision on your hair density. One of the hardest things to do is figure out how much hair. And when you see these charts, even if you see a swatch ring and you order a swatch ring of densities from one of the companies, and you look at this little square, like, how can I tell? You're trying to put it up next to your head, and it's almost impossible to figure that out. So that's why I'm here today, is to help you narrow that down a little bit into no less than this, no more than this. Okay, now that we all know how much hair to put in our hair system or not put in our hair system, let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions about your hair density and maybe suggestions I might have for you or questions you might have. All right, guys, if you liked what you've seen today, please give me that thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And again, I'm Steve Luttrell, your hair loss consultant, and this has been The Real Deal. Have a great hair day, guys.